Hello neighbors, it's Brad here at eTrailer, and today we're taking a look at installing the eTrailer upgraded 7-way with Junction Box. Now this is going to be a great option if you're going from a 4-pole or a 5-pole and you want to hook up to a vehicle that is a 7-way. This is going to be tied into the box. It's all going to stay protected. It's got seals and also a few punch outs with grommets with holes to cleanly run in here. So it's going to be nice not only because you get your 7-way function, but also if you have a 7-way that's not working, you can actually kind of cut those wires and attach it in the junction box and be able to add this on without having to redo your wiring. So another great part about this is when you take the cover off, if you need to access any of your electrical hookups, you could tie in later on pretty easily with a ring terminal, and it's going to be nice, easy, clean, and accessible, and also protected from the elements. Now the great part about the junction box is the fact that we can actually expand with our function. So if we ever wanted to add our trailer brakes or a 12-volt power supply, we can tie into our junction box without really having to redo any of the wiring. You can tie directly into those studs with a ring terminal and have that power. Now this is a pretty easy upgrade to do, and it's also got a pretty small footprint too, so mounting it up in a small spot, you can see here on our frame rail it mounts really nice, allowing us to have our plug ready to go. So as far as installation goes, it's really simple, and we're actually going to walk through that right now. So I've gone ahead and I've mounted our box to our frame just using some self-tapping screws. Now they don't actually come in the kit, so you may have to pick those up. But once we have this mounted in a nice spot, we also want to make sure that our 7-pole has enough room to get plugged into our vehicle, which we have plenty here. So it's going to be pretty simple. We're going to take our existing 5-pole, and this is going to route into the box. Now it's nice because there are some little adapters here, these little grommets, and there's going to be ones in the kit that have a hole. So that way you can kind of custom fit wherever you need to on the box, depending on, if your wires are going this way or if you want to run them this way, or just kind of whatever your trailer allows you to. This is going to make sure that you have a nice clean run. So what I'm going to do is take my 5-pole here, kind of determine a little extra length of wire here, and I'm going to go ahead and just cut these. Now if you're going from a 4-pole, a 5-pole, or even an existing 7-pole, this will all be exactly the same. You just may have more or less wires, but they're all going to go to their corresponding home. So here I've run my wires through this little rubber grommet, and I'm going to just put this in place here. And so now what I'm going to do is take my corresponding colors and I'm going to cut my wires back and put some ring terminals, and these are included in the kit. So getting these on it's going to allow us to attach up to our junction box. Now your wires may be kind of moving around as you're trying to attach the ring terminals and get these in place, but it's nice there's a little clamp here. You can feed your wires through, and then with a small Phillips head we can tighten this down, and that's going to hold our wires perfectly in place. So I can go ahead and get my grommet here, and then I'm going to just pull a little extra slack and then tighten this down so these stay in place. So we're going to go ahead and get these attached. Now these are not going to be necessarily color coordinated with the wiring that we have initially on the trailer. So we have our reverse here, which is blue. This is going to go to yellow. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started. And then we'll take our right turn, which is going to be our green, and that's going to go to brown. So we'll get this on there. Blue is going to be for our electric brakes, which we're not using here. Our green is going to be for our running lights / our tail lights. So we'll take our 2 brown wires that we've attached and put that there. Now red is going to be for our left turn and stop. So we'll go ahead and get that one attached as well, which only leaves us with our white, which will actually go to our white for our ground. Now with all your connections, once you strip back and crimp on your ring terminal, I always give it just a quick tug just to make sure it's not going to become loose over time. Now I have all of my ring terminals attached to our wires, so I'm going to go ahead with my 8mm and I'm going to just loosen these nuts up, and that way we can get our ring terminal placed on there. And then once we have our wire and ring terminal placed in there, we can go ahead and tighten that back down. So now I'm going to just continue on with the rest of my connections until we have them all hooked up. Now to test your light functions, you can actually hook up to your vehicle and just run through the light cycles, having someone watch the trailer to make sure that it's working. We're using a test box, which is just going to recreate hooking up to a vehicle. So let's run through the light cycles and make sure that it's working. So starting off, we have our running lights on. We're then going to do our left turn signal, our right turn signal. Next, we'll do our brake lights. And then finally, we're going to do our backup light. Now, if you do have brakes on your trailer and you've wired into that, you're also going to want to check that as well. And also, if you have a 12-volt power supply running there, you're also going to want to verify. So now that we've verified that everything's working properly, make sure that you put the filler caps, the grommets here in place wherever there's not an opening. And if you really want to, you can go back with a little black silicone just to seal that up. But overall, it should stay pretty contained here. So once we put that in place, we have our screws that come in the kit. We'll just tighten this up. So now that we've verified that it works, we have our cover on. If you want, you can throw a few zip ties on just to kind of secure this extra length of cable. But other than that, we can hook up to our truck and start towing. And that was a look and installation of the eTrailer 7-way upgrade with the Junction Box.